Our Excel discussion begins with the Equations tab. We're going to discuss, first of all, some basic arithmetic operations. Excel has the usual operations, plus minus, times, division, and also exponentiation. Excel obeys the order of operations. In other words, if you have something like 5 plus 10 plus 10, this may be rewritten as 5 plus 2 times 10, and of course that should evaluate to 25. If you add 5 and 2 first, you get 7. Multiplying by 10, you would get 70. And so you must multiply before you add. There's a correct order of operations to follow, and Excel obeys it. Exponentiation, the symbol that you find above your 6 on the keypad for exponents. Let us evaluate a few expressions. 9 minus 3 times 2. Let us try typing that in as it sits. 9 minus 3 times the multiplication symbol is the asterisk. 9 minus 3 times 2. We hit enter and nothing happened. That is because you can type stories. You can type words in Excel. The cow jumped over the moon, and so on. That's a story. 9 minus 3 times 2 is also a story, unless you begin it with an equal sign. If you begin it with an equal sign to evaluate a mathematical expression, this is what you must do. If you begin with an equal sign and hit enter, then you get the correct answer. The formula we entered, if you click on the cell, you can see the formula behind the number 3. 9 minus 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is done first, the multiplication. The subtraction is done second. If for some reason you want the subtraction to be done first, then you must put it in brackets. 9 minus 3 times 2. This time you will get 12. Subpractice with the operations equals 3 plus 2 raised to the power 4 minus 9 divided by 3. This evaluates to 16. What if you want to find the average? Find the average of the numbers 9, 3, and 12. Let's try to do that. Well, equals, we have to add the numbers 9 plus 3 plus 12, and then we have to divide by 3. So let's try that. 16. Well, 16 cannot be the average of the numbers 9, 3, and 12. If you want to find the average of 9, 3, and 12, you have to add 9 and 3 and 12, and so you have to put those in brackets to add them up. There's 3 numbers, we divide by 3, and the average is 8. The average is not 16. Carrying on, down below, there are some formulas that we're going to fool with. The area, to find the area of a circle, there's a formula we can use. Pi times the radius squared, radius raised to the power 2. We will use 3.14 as an approximation to pi. The area is equal to 3.14 times the asterisk 2.5 I'm going to put there. That's a mistake. Raised to the power 2. 2.5. I put the data right in the formula. I hit enter. 19.625. That's actually the correct answer, but it's the wrong way to do things. Let's do it again. The area equals 3.14 times, and this time, instead of putting 2.5 there, I'm going to click on the 2.5. Excel puts I-22 there. Column I, row 22 is where the data is, and then I can raise that to the power 2. I still have pi times the radius squared. It gives me the same answer. But the reason this is a better way to do things is because if I want to change the radius now, I change the data 2.5 to 5, for example. I hit enter, and the area is updated. The old number, the old area stayed the way it was. It did not get updated. So you should let Excel find the data. Give Excel the average, the address, pardon me, of the data, and it will go and find it and do the calculation. Hess is selling cakes. Her profit formula is 20 times the number of cakes. I'll click on the data. It's in I-26, but I don't have to determine that. Excel will. Minus 100. Hit enter. The profit for 14 cakes, 180. If the number of cakes changes to 20, I re-enter the data, hit enter. The new profit is 300. Percent change. We have an old fare, and then the fare, the airplane fare goes up to a new fare over a holiday. The percent change, you remember how you might compute this? New minus old. You find the difference in the fare, the change, and you compare it to the old. You divide by the old. Now, we really see how clicking on the data helps here. Don't forget you need brackets. New, click. Minus, old, I click on the data, bracket. Then divide, and I click on the old number again. New minus old divided by old. Clicking on the data makes things so much easier. I don't have to worry about making a mistake in copying the numbers. We hit enter, 0.75. We are asked that the percent symbol be included. And so click on the cell, go up and hit the percent button, and 0.75 changes to 75%. A 75% increase. One last question. An exponent, exponential growth. We want to use the formula y equals 2 raised to the power x. Frequently used in science, population growth, radioactive decay. Y, the value of y is equals 2 raised to the power, and don't forget x is over here, but don't click on x, click on the data. 10, 2 to the power 10, 1024. That is the number of bytes in a kilobyte, 1024. Would you like to see a comma in that number? Hit the comma button. You don't want decimal places? Use the decimal place reducer. And now, how many bytes in a megabyte? If we change the value of x to 20 and hit enter, you see that there's 1,048,576 bytes in a megabyte. And a gigabyte, that is when we have 2 to the power 30. Watch what happens when we hit enter now. What happened? Where is our number? What happened? Well, Excel's trying to tell us something. Excel's trying to say that there's not enough room in there, in that cell for the number. If I make it a little bit bigger If I drag the column open a little bit, then you see that there are 1,073,741,824 bytes in a gigabyte. And that brings us to the end of the equations tab.